So now we understand when you're going to record, the best way to record yourself.
Right.
We understand how to set up your own home studio.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
We understand how important and what the process is when mixing your music. Now, what is the difference from mixing and mastering? I have my record mixed.
Right.
I need to get it
What's
mastered.
next, right?
Why? Why do I have to get it mastered?
So mastering is, so basically what I was telling you about mixing is control of all the elements. Mastering is control of that left and right that I gave. When I'm done printing my mix, it's a stereo thing, right?
Right.
And I'm handing it off to a mastering guy. A mastering guy's job, there's two different ways to look at it. From an album perspective, a mastering person's main job is to make the album flow.
Right.
One song's not louder than the other. One's, it all flows. But let's not talk about that for a second. Let's talk about your song, your record that you've recorded, right? So the mastering guy's job is to now clean up where the mix might have screwed up, what a little left. You know what I'm saying? Too much bass, kind of thin, too tinny, too much top end. Yeah. The mastering guy will do that as a whole now. They don't do it, but they can't turn up a guitar, they can't turn up a kick drum. What a mastering guy can do is they just deal with frequencies. So what they'll do is now, one, make sure your song is just as loud as everything else out there, or louder if they can. You know what I mean? So mastering is, there's a lot more to it in the back end technical of it. Yeah. But the main thing that somebody from a lay person, right, that will hear a mix and then they'll hear a master. If you could A/B it, the one thing that you'll hear when you don't understand what's going on, the one thing you're going to hear is that the master is louder. Right. Period. That's so when
they maximize it. They maximize it
to be as loud as it can
without distorting.
Exactly. And how they do that is, okay, if a song's got too much bass, the ear doesn't perceive it as being loud. It could be the same volume on a meter, but it won't be as loud to the human ear because you're hearing more low end, and your ear doesn't perceive that as volume. Right. So what you do is they'll tuck some of the bass, they'll tighten it up, they'll add a little more mid range, a little more top, and that whole process of mastering, they don't have again. It's important to know that they don't change the volumes of the sounds. Right. They're only dealing with. Picture you're back in your mom's car. You got treble and bass. Yep. That's it. That's what mastering guys got, but a different level. You know what I mean? But that's what they have, and so they only have that for the whole mix. They're going to make it loud. They're going to make it compete. They're going to make it be on the radio. They're going to make it across any format. iTunes, Spotify. They all have their different bandwidths that they accept and that you need to make it thrive there. Mastering guys know that.
So you can't just master your song and it's good for everywhere. There's different ways of mastering it for different outlets.
See, the thing is, you can master it and it'll go everywhere, and it'll sound fine. But you can there are different algorithms that the mastering people know. For instance, there's a thing called Mastered for iTunes, and they do things a certain way so that's optimized for that format. Right. So there's there's a lot of these things. Even there's back to plugins, mixing. If you're mastering at home, mastering guys use plugins too. Yeah. But if you're doing this at home, there's different plugins that you could select. The Isotope is a great company. Yeah. There's some you could put on, and you could learn about mastering from that. You know what I mean? Right. It's not a set it and forget it thing. You gotta play with it, manipulate it. But even those things you could have your output set to an iTunes output, or like a full bandwidth thing, because there's different EQ structures for each of these things, and that makes it thrive in their system, and it's based on download speeds and things like that. They need it to be a certain thing in order to sit right in their thing. So but it's not like if you don't do master for iTunes, it's not going to sound good. Right. It's just that little percent more when it's for that. You know what I mean? Right.
So now this whole process that you just walked us through, from recording to mixing to mastering, which are all essential to having quality product to present to the world. Yeah. These are the things that every single artist that's winning big follows this formula.
Yeah, this is the formula. Right. There's no skipping. There's a lot of the guys, it's hard because an artist gets excited. They got their song done. I need it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, all right. Well, this guy's not available to mix it. This guy can't master. There's 10 million other projects going on. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, they'll go with what's called a rough mix. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a mix. You know what I mean? It's not what they did in their when they first walked in the studio. Right. So mixing is essential, mastering is essential, and a great recording is essential. If you don't have that, you really have nothing.
Now, what if I have my home studio at home. I put the mattresses up. I got a dead room. I'm recording. It's no reverb, nothing on my voice. I put a nice mix on it with my plugins and the things that I have. But I don't really know how to master, and I can't afford somebody like you.
Yeah.
What does somebody do in that case? Is there another alternative than finding someone like you to mix their record?
There's a couple things. There's the Isotope plugin that I was telling you about earlier. There's a mastering plugin.
Okay.
But it is still kind of costly. But there's an automated service called ARIA, ARIA. Yeah. It's an online mastering service, right? Now it's not going to cost you the $500,000 that a mastering guy is going to cost you.
Right.
I think it costs you maybe $18 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's bad to the bone.
Yeah.
Like I've actually had, there's a choice mastering guy that I work with, an engineer that I choose. If you mix with me, this is who masters it.
Right.
He developed it.
Right.
So it's kind of like a robot him. You know what I mean? It's not him, it's a robot him, you know?
Right. It's his experience of mixing these types of records, and he kind of made a template.
It literally has robotic arms that go up and adjust things. You know what I mean? It's like it's an automated system.
Right.
I've had that thing beat top name mastering engineers at other mastering houses.
Are you sure you want to say this on camera?
I don't care. I mean, they know it. They all know it.
Do you want to run yourself out of business?
Nah, I know, right? I'm just saying, like, but that's a great. There's automated thing. This thing Ari that's automated. There's the Isotope plugin. See, mastering is not like, it's this wizardly world, right? It's like the man behind the curtain, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's all about, and you could learn to do it. Like, listen, I don't have a musical background.
Right.
I've touched more records than probably the majority of the people in the business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have a musical background.
Right.
I taught myself how to do this. This is what I wanted to do. I learned it. I studied. Right. You know what I mean? I listened to the great records. I figured out how they did it. You know what I'm saying? Right. You could do that too. Same thing with mastering. If you can't afford to get the guy, if you can't afford the ARIA, the automated one, you can figure out how to do it with your plugins. You know what I mean? Like, there's a couple key ones. Like the Isotope one I was telling you, that's a great way to start. And they do a lease thing too. They do, you could do it monthly or whatever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for a lot of people, the music business, like most business, you got to spend money to make money.
Right.
You don't have to spend millions.
Right.
But there's an investment there because there's tech. You know what I mean? And you want to compete.
Right.
So you need that. You know what I'm saying?
You got to spend your money the right way on the right things, like the things you just talked about.
There's a million. Listen, I was talking earlier to somebody. It's like, I'm on my microphone. You can tell I'm not used to this. Sorry. No, I was saying earlier. I was talking to somebody earlier about how it's a little bit easier now for somebody to say they're an engineer because the technology's gotten so much better.
Right. Right.
But you know what? Put them in the room with $20 million worth of gear, every EQ, every microphone you ever heard of, and I will smoke them with a laptop.
Right. On
the plane with some headphones on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's about your craft. It's about you learning it. It's not about the equipment.
Right.
It's not. That's what's important. It's about you taking the time, being patient, and learning it, and watching it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And watching it grow, and then listening to other things, comparing it. Not comparing it because it's better, but comparing it because that's what's winning. So you know what? Let me get close to that. All right. Well, no, I don't really like that about it. Yeah. Let me try this with it too. All right. That's my thing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little, there's a million different avenues. There's no right and wrong. That's the thing. It's music, man. There's no right and wrong.
Right.
But, tech.
It's a feeling.
It is.
You're selling a feeling.
You are. You really are. Yeah. Tech is more ones and zeros, black and white.
Right.
So there's that element of it. And that's where you got to spend your money on.
Right.
But at the end of the day, as long as you're not distorted, you can hear everything. It's jamming.
And it feels good to you.
Yeah, you're okay.
And it's comparable to what's already out there working.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're not going to do it overnight. That's the most important thing I always tell people. Like a lot of people that want to do this, they want it to happen now. I got my computer, I got my microphone, I got all the plugins that they talked about.
Right.
What now?
Yep.
Now it's time to study and learn and be great. Right. And you can. I did.
Be great.
Be great.
Right.
That's it.
And now you can be great. Now that you learned from the man on how to be great on recording, mixing, and mastering your own music. If you don't know how to do it now, I don't know what else to tell you, right, Fabian?
Man. Hey, listen, I don't know what else either, man. But, you're in there, so keep going.
All right, get familiar, guys.